How well do you know Dexter? Do you think you know the ins and outs of the original series and New Blood better than most? Well, I am excited to announce the first ever Dexter community trivia live stream right here on this channel. And it's taking place this Wednesday, December the 8th at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to get notified when we go live and set yourself a reminder to be there. You will not want to miss this trivia event, as well as the conversation that we're going to have about the show up to this point and where we think things are going from here. I cannot wait to see you all there. Now let's recap the events of episode 5, Runaway. This episode focused on 3 primary storylines, which were Angela and Molly's trip to New York City, the missing girl killer, which we decided in the last live stream we're going to just call MGK, and Dexter and Harrison. So let's kick things off with the girls' trip to New York City. Logan tells Angela and Molly that they've located which hotel Matt was at, and Molly and Angela agree to take a trip down to confirm he's there. Upon arriving at the hotel, the clerk informs Angela and Molly that Matt had checked out, and Angela requests to see video footage. We see later in the episode that the man who checked in under Matt's name was definitely not Matt, which leads Angela to question why Kurt would be lying about this. While in New York City, Angela attends a law enforcement conference with special guest speaker Angel Batista. Flashbacks, anyone? Batista speaks on the importance of finding trends with victims, as this may lead law enforcement to finding answers. Angela acts as if this is some type of enlightening information that she'd never heard or thought of before, which is interesting considering she's a cop. After the conference, Angela finds Batista to discuss the missing girls in Iron Lake. Batista tries to help Angela understand the pattern and also attempts to hit on her. Classic Batista. He says that if Angela can find out the why behind the missing girls, she'll find out the who. This very fortunately reminded Angel of the Trinity case, and he goes on to tell Angela that Deb had died along with her brother, who had a little son. What was his name again? Oh yeah, Harrison. This writing was a little too convenient, don't you think? And the Angela story in this episode wraps up with her returning home and Audrey informing her that Harrison had said that Jim Lindsay is not his dad's real name. We then see Angela printing off the obituary of Dexter Morgan. I've got a feeling he's going to be in the doghouse after this one. Okay, let's jump over to MGK and the things revealed about Kurt in this episode. Kurt gets Chloe settled into his basement apartment, and the next time we see him, he's wanting to party down at the local tavern. The bartender tells Dexter that he does this every couple of months, as if this is some type of celebratory event he does after getting a new girl in his basement. Back at the cabin, after Chloe realizes she's in trouble, we see her attempting to lure Kurt to the room by stripping in front of the camera. Kurt tells her that this is not what this is about, and he slams his laptop closed out of frustration. We then see Chloe pull out what looks like broken shards of mirror that she'd like to use on Kurt. Kurt later opens the door to the basement apartment and tells Chloe she's free to go, but she's not buying it. She won't leave the room, which triggers Kurt to go down there. She tried fighting him off with the glass fragments, but is unsuccessful. Kurt gets her outside and tells her to run, but she instead charges at him, resulting in him shooting her in the face. This highly upsets Kurt, as he says things like, "This isn't how it's supposed to happen," and "You ruined everything." He then bangs himself in the head many times out of frustration and goes back inside his cabin. On to Dexter and Harrison, where we get a lot out of this episode. Things kick off with Dexter trying to talk to Harrison and get Harrison to tell him the truth about what happened with Ethan. This highly irritates Harrison, and he goes outside, where he's picked up by Zach and Scott and taken to a local party. While at the party, Harrison loses all control and gets super drunk and does a whole bunch of drugs. And some really weird girl asks him to carve an H into her leg, and he instead just slashes her foot. I think we get at this point that Harrison likes cutting people. Harrison then takes more drugs and, out of a state of frustration, tells Audrey that his dad's name is not really Jim Lindsay. He then passes out and Audrey calls 911. Logan arrives on scene and saves Harrison. He also questions Scott about the drugs and learns where he got them. In true small-town cop fashion, Logan tells Dexter the name of the dealer in the next town over. Dexter then plans on killing this dealer and acquires supplies from the local vet in order to do so. We then see Dexter finding this dealer by the name of Miles at a bar in the next town. Dexter pretends to want to buy drugs from him, follows him out to his car, begins to inject him in the neck, but then the cops pull up, and Dexter has to quickly switch to plan B and just starts beating the crap out of this guy, pretends that he's just there to beat him up out of frustration for selling the drugs that ended up almost killing Harrison. So Logan informs Dexter that he's going to take Miles down to the station, and Dexter needs to come down for a statement as well. Logan questions Miles and learns that the man making the drugs goes by the name of Jasper Hodge. Dexter is able to get Jasper's address off of a notepad, and we later find him outside Jasper's home. Dexter breaks in, injects Jasper, and sets up a kill room upstairs. Just before he's able to kill him, he hears a car outside and looks out to find Logan sitting out front. Why wouldn't Dexter have taken him somewhere else? He knew the cops had his address. I just don't understand that decision by the writers. Like, yeah, Dexter's obviously not as practiced as he was 10 years ago, but this seems pretty obvious. Anyway, Dexter has to resort to making it look like Jasper overdosed as opposed to killing him through his typical methods. Kurt sees Harrison attempting to flee town and buys him dinner at his diner. He tells Harrison he needs to patch things up with his dad and offers him a job. This talk seems to have worked because we see Harrison go back to Dexter's at the end of the episode. Okay, so on to my theories. The main thing that stood out to me was Kurt's reaction after killing Chloe. It could be said that he just has a particular approach and he was upset that she messed with that, but I think this may have proven Kurt is actually working with or answering to somebody in relation to the missing girl killings. And he may be in trouble for how this one turned out. I'm not 100% on that, but that is how I felt as I watched it. It's very possible that he was just irritated that she just messed up how he likes to typically do things. In terms of Dexter's identity being revealed, I don't know that it's really going to go anywhere. I have a feeling he's just going to feed Angela some lie about how he wanted to just get away from Miami, so he changed his name and he left because it was too hard to stay there after everything that happened with his sister. And I think she's going to hesitantly buy this story. There's theories going around that Batista is going to come up to Iron Lake and find Dexter, but I really don't feel like that's where we're headed. It's feeling to me like Kurt sees some type of darkness in Harrison and might be wanting to get him involved in the whole missing girl thing. It felt for a minute like Kurt was going to take Harrison, but it seems that he typically just sticks to taking girls. So maybe he's going to attempt to replace Matt with Harrison, or going back to previous theories, he's just trying to build some type of relationship with Harrison to build up some level of trust, and then he kills Harrison out of retaliation for what Dexter did to Matt. Makes sense. There really wasn't a lot else in this episode that I could build any further theories off of. What about you all? Have your theories changed since seeing episode 5, or was there stuff in this that made you feel that your theories up to this point are still true? Do some of you still believe Harrison isn't Harrison? It's Harrison. Let's move past that one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one.